Hello everyone. This is the second video in a 5-video series on the basics of Java. Today, we will learn about the basic structures in a Java program and what variables are and how to use them. First, all the code that's run inside of a Java program exists within a main method. Here, our main method is this line, public static void main. This tells the program that when we want to run it, anything that is within this curly brace and this curly brace should be executed. Currently, we have our one line from last time, but if we were to add a second line, both of these lines will be run. So we can add system.out.println hello world, and make sure that anytime you have one of these lines that they end with a semicolon, otherwise the code will throw an error and not compile properly. So if we run this, you'll see that both these lines will be outputted in the output. Then, outside of this main method, is a line public class my class. Classes in Java are the building blocks of the program. They store functions and variables and would allow the code to function. So variables are names of objects that store data. They can store data like numbers or text. So to create a variable, we first have to describe what the variable is. Like, is it a number? Is it a string? And what the name of the variable is. So for example, if we wanted to create a number, we could use the variable type int, which represents an integer, and then we can give it a name like my_number. And then, now that we've created it, we have to assign it to some value. So let's say we wanted it to be 10. We've just created a variable, my_number, that equals 10. So now, if we wanted to print out what this variable is, we can print my_number. We can also delete these two lines, and then we can print my number into the output, and then if we click execute and we run this code, we can see that 10 is outputted. Even though we typed in my number, since my number refers to the value of 10, it'll print out 10. Then we can do operations with this too, because it's an integer. Let's say we wanted to do print my number plus 5. We can execute this code, and this will output 15, because 10 plus 5 is 15. And then we can now change my number to any value, like 15 here, and then this time the code will output 20 instead of 15. Now if we wanted, so this is how we store a variable of an integer. Another common type we will use is a string. Now to declare a string variable, we type in string with the capital S, then we can give it a name like my_string, then equals, then we need double quotes, then we can give it a string name, like once again we can use hello world, and then semicolon. And now this string is referencing text hello world. So if we were to print out my string, and we execute, it'll print out hello world. Going back to the integer type, there are special functions we can perform on the number to do different operations. For instance, if we have, let's say we wanted to add 5 to my number, we can do my number equals my number plus 5. And then what we can do to check this is we can go system.out.println my_number semicolon, and we can put this line here too. And then now when we run this code, the first thing it'll print is 15, and then we will add 5 to my number, and then it'll print 20, which is, you can see exactly what happened in the output. This allows us to modify our data through as the program runs, which is very useful. Same thing can be said for our strings. We go back and create our string. My string equals hello world. We can change our string to something else, say like hello again. And then now if we execute this code, the first time it'll print hello world, and the second time it'll print hello again. Oh, here. So here's the reason why we have to use specific types. So right here it says my number equals hello again, but because my number has been declared as an int, as an integer type, it can only accept numbers. So here the code is throwing an error saying that the number, my number cannot be a string, which is true. So if we change this variable to the correct variable and then run this code, it should run without an error. And here you see we have hello world and then hello again. So these are the basics of variables, how we can use them to create objects that reference data and then change that data throughout the code. In our next lesson, we will go over different types of variables and what they do.